Iran's story begins in the ancient world, in a land once known as Persia, where one of the first great civilizations of humanity took shape, rising from rugged mountains and vast deserts into a powerful and organized empire that would leave a permanent mark on history. And at the center of this rise stood Cyrus the Great, a visionary leader who in 550 BCE established the Achaemenid Empire, uniting tribes and territories under a system that was far ahead of its time, promoting tolerance, respecting different religions, and creating administrative systems that allowed a massive empire to function smoothly, stretching from the Indus Valley to the Mediterranean Sea, making it one of the largest empires the world had ever seen. And under rulers like Darius I, Persia developed roads, a postal system, and economic structures that strengthened its dominance. But this powerful empire eventually came into conflict with the Greek city-states, leading to legendary wars that echoed across centuries. And although Persia was strong, it eventually fell to the unstoppable campaign of Alexander the Great, whose conquest in the 4th century BCE marked the end of the Achaemenid rule, and began a new chapter where Greek and Persian cultures blended together, creating a unique fusion that influenced art, language, and governance. And after Alexander's death, Persia did not disappear but instead saw the rise of new powers like the Parthians, who restored Iranian identity and challenged Roman expansion, followed by the mighty Sassanid Empire, which became one of the greatest rivals of the Roman and later Byzantine empires, turning Persia once again into a center of military strength, intellectual growth, and cultural brilliance, where architecture, literature, and science flourished. But history shifted dramatically in the 7th century when Arab Muslim armies entered Persia, bringing with them Islam. And although this conquest ended the Sassanid Empire, it did not erase Persian identity. Instead, it transformed it, blending ancient traditions with Islamic beliefs to create a rich and unique civilization that would influence the world in poetry, philosophy, and knowledge. And over the centuries that followed, Iran experienced waves of different rulers including Turkic dynasties, and the devastating Mongol invasions led by Genghis Khan, which caused massive destruction but also opened new connections across Asia. And despite these hardships, Persian culture survived and adapted, proving its resilience again and again, until in the 16th century a powerful new dynasty emerged, the Safavid Empire, founded by Shah Ismail I, who not only unified Iran as a nation but also established Shia Islam as the official state religion, a decision that would shape the country's identity for centuries to come, setting it apart from many of its neighbors and defining its religious and political structure even today. And under the Safavids, cities like Isfahan became centers of beauty, art, and architecture, showcasing the brilliance of Persian creativity. But like all empires, the Safavids eventually declined, leading to periods of instability and foreign invasions. And by the 19th century, Iran found itself caught between powerful global forces, particularly the Russian and British empires, both seeking influence over its land and resources, weakening the country internally and creating dissatisfaction among its people, which eventually led to the Persian constitutional revolution of the early 20th century, a major turning point where Iranians demanded a constitution, rule of law, and limits on royal power, marking the beginning of modern political awareness in the country. And soon after, a strong military leader named Reza Shah rose to power in 1925, establishing the Pahlavi dynasty and launching a campaign of modernization, building railways, schools, and a stronger central government, trying to transform Iran into a modern nation-state. But his approach was strict and often authoritarian, and after him, his son Mohammad Reza Shah continued these modernization efforts, pushing rapid industrial growth and aligning Iran closely with Western powers, especially the United States. But while the country appeared to progress on the surface, deep inside there was growing unrest among religious leaders, intellectuals, and ordinary citizens who felt disconnected, oppressed, and unheard. And this tension slowly built up until it finally exploded in 1979 in one of the most dramatic and important events in modern history, the Iranian Revolution, led by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini, who returned from exile and inspired millions to rise against the monarchy, ultimately overthrowing the Shah and replacing the centuries-old royal system with an Islamic republic, fundamentally transforming Iran's political, social, and cultural structure, reshaping laws, governance, and daily life according to religious principles. And just as the new system was establishing itself, Iran was thrown into a devastating war with neighboring Iraq in 1980, a brutal conflict that lasted 8 long years, costing hundreds of thousands of lives, destroying cities, and leaving deep scars that still affect the country today. And even after the war ended, Iran continued to face challenges, including economic struggles, political tensions, and increasing pressure from the international community, especially regarding its nuclear program, which became a major global issue leading to years of negotiations and eventually the 2015 nuclear agreement with world powers, offering hope for economic recovery and reduced tensions. But this hope was later shaken when the agreement faced setbacks and sanctions returned, placing more pressure on the nation's economy and people. And in recent years, Iran has witnessed waves of protests driven by economic hardship, rising costs of living, and demands for greater freedom and rights, showing that the country is still evolving, still struggling, and still searching for balance between tradition and change, between authority and freedom. And as we look at Iran today, it is impossible to separate its present from its past, because every empire, every conquest, every revolution has shaped what it has become, a nation with a deep sense of identity, a rich cultural heritage, and a complex political reality. And from the Avamat of ancient kings to the power of modern movements, Iran's journey is not just a timeline of events, it is a powerful story of resilience, transformation, and survival. A story that continues to unfold even now, carrying the weight of thousands of years into a future that remains uncertain yet incredibly significant.